Hey guys, Christina here, and today I'm going to go through the books we read last month, which was November 2019. We have 5 children between the ages of 3 and 12, and we homeschool, and some of us just really enjoy reading. So I wanted to share the books and kind of our reviews and our experience with them. So I'm going to jump right in with our very first read aloud, which is Master Cornhill. This is by Eloise Jarvis McGraw, and this went along with our Story of the World that we were doing. It takes place in 1665 in London, and it's talking about the plague and the Great Fire that happens. This was an interesting book. Kind of mixed reviews. It kind of felt like, where's the story going? Okay, kind of get on with it. There were some exciting parts. Some parts I was like, eh. So it gave a good description of what life was kind of like, but I'm not sure that we would read this book again. Let me know in the comments if you read this book and what you thought of it. It was an interesting one. And then we moved on to this book here. This is Daniel and the Drum Rock by Florence Parker Simister. And this is one from the Good and the Beautiful library. I'll show you inside. There were a few little pictures in here. This was a good story. It was a pretty quick and simple read. And it takes place in, let's see what they said here. I don't know the year, but the Huguenots have come to America, and then the French and the English declare war on each other, and these people are sworn allegiance to the English king, but there's still a lot of contention between the two groups. Again, a good example of kind of what life was like at the time. It was a good story. It was a little slower, but I think overall my kids did like it, and it was a pretty, like I said, quick, simple read. It's a level 7 on their reading scale. So we read that one there. Oh, and then the other one we read went along with our science unit that we completed in November, Water and Our World, which I'll link up top if you want to see that review. And that was A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park. This book is a true story with a little bit of fiction in it, just about the importance and the difficulties of getting fresh water and how it really impacts people's lives, along with Salva, the main person, and his experience as one of the lost boys in Africa. I had debated back and forth if I wanted to read this book with our water unit or I wanted to save it and read it with our next year's history course, but I decided to go ahead and read it this year. It's a very quick, simple read, but really good. There is some violence in it. I did have to edit a few sentences out for my younger children, but overall, it's a great book. I'd highly recommend it. And then our Audible books. So we like to listen to Audible, usually just fun ones. Sometimes they go along with what we're studying as well. So we finished the one we've been listening to, and it was called Jukebox Joyride by Jacob Stein. It was a really good story. Everyone enjoyed it. Everyone really liked it. And then having the music part of it, like the element, just made it so fun and fascinating. So definitely recommend that one. It deals with time travel and the history of music, learned some neat things, heard some great different styles of music. Really recommend that one. Then we moved on to The Witch of Blackbird Pond, and it's by Elizabeth George Spear. This one is one that we were planning to listen to later in the year to go along with our Story of the World, but we decided to listen to it now because we had kind of the time to do it. We're almost done. I suspect we'll probably finish it tomorrow, actually. It started off a little slow, some of it's a little but overall I think it's been a really good story. I'll share more next month, but I think personally I like it. I would probably read it again. Then moving on to our kids. So our oldest, who's 12, he read Kilmeny, I think is how you say it, of the Orchard, and it's by Lucy Maud Montgomery, the same author who did Anne of Green Gables. He said that he really enjoyed it. He gave it 5 out of 5 stars. He said that there was a lot of action in it, as well as a great storyline and a bit of romance too, and I guess he's getting to that age. So he highly recommended that one. I don't know the story very well, so you'll have to check it out. And then he read this book, My Side of the Mountain by Jean Craighead George. He's read this one before, so he enjoyed it and he picked it up and just decided to read it again because he really liked it. And then he's just starting this one. There Really Is a Santa Claus, The History of St. Nicholas and Christmas Holiday Traditions by William J. Federer, I think is how you say it. And this is a book that is on the Good and the Beautiful book list. And I think this is pretty timely for him to read this in December. So I'm really curious kind of what's in here. I might have to read this one myself. Looks interesting. So then, moving on to my 10-year-old. He read this book here, Eric Liddell? No, sorry, he read this one first. George Mueller, The Guardian of Bristol's Orphans by Janet and Jeff Benge. This is the Christian Hero series, Now and Then. So this is one that we owned, and he read this book, and he absolutely loved it. He said it was a great book, a great storyline, just an amazing life that this person lived. So then he picked up this one from our library, Eric Liddell, Something Greater Than Gold, the same authors and the same series again. He's about halfway through, and he's really enjoying this. He's actually ordered another one from this series. So this is one that I'm probably gonna have to look at secondhand bookstores to find some more books because he seems to really like the series. Sorry, got interrupted. Real life. So moving on to me, I started off the month reading The Innocents by Michael Crummy, I think. Yeah, Crummy. He's a Canadian author. He lives in Newfoundland. And I heard an interview with him on CBC Radio about this book because it's fairly new. I think it just came out earlier this year. And it just sounded completely fascinating to me. And so I picked it up and I started reading it, and I love his writing style. It was so good. It's very simple but detailed at certain times. I just really liked his style of writing. Now, I knew that there was some adult content or themes in this book because of the nature of the story. It's about a brother and sister who really have never left this little outport where they live, this little cove, and their parents die and their sibling dies and they're left alone. And this struggle for survival just to live, and how they do that. And I had heard in the interview, it was based on kind of a legend or a story about people who had come into a cove basically and found a brother and sister living there with a baby. So I knew there was going to be some adult type themes, but as I read, it kind of started to get descriptive, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. So I read a little bit more, and then it just got too descriptive for me, and I said no. And so I took it back. So I'm dying to know how the book ends. If anyone's actually finished it, leave it in the comment section. Let me know, how does the book end? Because I want to know. And he's such a good author, but the details was just too descriptive, too vivid. I do want to check out some of the other books and see if maybe another one would be a better fit for me. So then I moved on to Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. And I had seen this book recommended a few times, including from Lindsay over at Bites of Memory, and I loved it. I loved it. It's exactly the kind of story that I like about, it's based on the scandal that took place at the Tennessee Children's Home. Sometimes the parents were told that the baby had died during childbirth and they would just kind of take the baby away. Sometimes they were just taken from very poor families. And they were told, oh, we'll feed them for a little while, we'll take care of them. But really they forged paperwork, they changed names, they abused the children, and then they sold them to very wealthy families. Just absolutely fascinating. I had no idea about the history that this had gone on. And the story of this one girl and her brothers and sisters and what happened to them. And the story is kind of two different stories, two different points in time, which I found a bit confusing as it kind of went back and forth, but they eventually joined the two stories. And I just really enjoyed it, so highly recommend that book. So that's what we read in the month of November. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys have read and what you recommend, because I love getting recommendations. Otherwise, I hope this finds you having a great day. Take care.